The cost of Justin Trudeau's endless fascination with racism. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. You might have heard that Justin Trudeau is always on the lookout for racism. Just last week, he was accusing the Conservatives of anti-Asian racism for questioning his government's ties to the government of China and the Chinese military. That resulted in a smackdown by Conservative MPs of Asian descent. And now we've got more details on a story I brought you about a couple of months ago on anti-racism training at Global Affairs Canada. We've got details on what this cost, and it's not pretty. In fact, it's a little ridiculous. But before I tell you the dollar figure, let me remind you what this training was all about. This is the training that said only white people can be racist. This is the training that encouraged people to question the name of Canada. In fact, they called it "This Place We Now Call Canada." Bit odd for the government of Canada to call the country "This Place We Now Call Canada," but it's right there in the training manual. This is also the training that said markers such as perfectionism, a sense of urgency, objectivity, and individualism were markers of white supremacy. That's right, being objective means you're a white supremacist. That is utterly bizarre, but it's right in the training manual. It also said that an overt act of white supremacy was to wear blackface. I wonder if they ever told this guy. Yeah, Justin Trudeau, the man that wore blackface more times than he can tell us, is actually running a government that's trying to stamp out racism in blackface. It's a little bit odd. It's also a little bit odd that, in my view, this training doesn't actually deal with an awful lot of the racist policies that we have had in this country and issues that we've dealt with. It is a bit of training that is very contextual in terms of the zeitgeist of the day, but not Canada's actual history. It doesn't even deal with the Prime Minister's own racism. Yep, there's that blackface photo again. Or what about when he told an Indigenous protester complaining about a lack of clean drinking water, "Thank you for your donation"? What about those incidents of racism? Can we really trust this government to deal with such a real issue when they throw around the term cavalierly at fellow MPs and don't deal with their own problems? Probably not, but now we know what it costs. $148,000 to run 32 virtual sessions. They weren't even in public, so the cost should have been a lot lower, but $148,000 for 32 virtual sessions. That's more than $4,600 per session, and about $400 for the 397 executives that were taking part in it. Are we getting value for our money? Based on the material put before the executives, I would say no. Now, the government, in its defense, said that, you know what? These are just issues that are brought forward, and you're not told what you must believe. But when people are told in training by their own employer that it's a myth to say only white people can be racist, you better believe that they're not being given that as an option. They're told this is the reality they have to deal with, and it's going to change their way of thinking, and not for the better. This type of training shouldn't see the light of day. It should be denounced. If we're going to have real anti-racism training, let's have it, not something that's driven by a political ideology, which this training clearly is.